Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of Media Mesh, where I give my unapologetic opinion about every doggone thing from music, movies, news, reality TV, all in a 5-minute wrap up. Now, let's get to it. Now, this is quite interesting, people. Stick with me. Yeah, I know people have a short attention span, but I'm going to make it worth it. All right. So let's get into this. Now, Clinton says Americans don't get Biden's extraordinary accomplishments. Oh, so it's something wrong with us. All right, well, let's check it out. Former Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton, blah, 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 suggested Tuesday night that Americans don't quite grasp the extraordinary accomplishments of President Joe Biden. Clinton pointed out that Biden was able to get the COVID relief bill and the bipartisan infrastructure deal to his desk, with the Build Back Better bill already passed through the House. You know, democracy is messy. A lot of people got, I think, kind of frustrated looking at the messy process of legislation, Clinton told MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, and they didn't really appreciate that. Within a year, the Biden administration had passed two major pieces of legislation, can't talk, guys, through the House of Senate. The bottom line is this is foolishness. You see this face? This dusty old face? This is another pawn in the plan of a much bigger agenda, people. But we're going to get down to the real point of all of this. Let's just cut out the foolishness. His accomplishments, he has probably the worst approval rating of all time. Allegedly, right? Now, you got to say that nowadays. Anytime you say something, you have to say allegedly. But right now, it's looking really bad for this puppet. Now, if you check my previous video, you will notice that I told you that he's nothing but a mouthpiece. He is nothing but a puppet. He's playing his position just like Trump and everybody else. Let's get down to the real meat and potatoes of what's really happening here. Now, by any measure, those extraordinary accomplishments, how extraordinary is it? Is it really that extraordinary? The COVID relief bill, this was part of the plan to get people vaccinated. I mean, who are we kidding here? Cut the BS. All right? I was about to say something else, but I'm just going to, try to keep it PG. But anyway, it says Americans with healthcare and prescription drug prices and climate change and so much else. The former First Lady, Senator, and Secretary of State continued. Clinton pushed that Republicans have been able to muddle that message. Now, this is the stickler here, people. This is what it's all about. But because of the way we are getting our information today, and because of the lack of gatekeepers and people who have a historic perspective who can help us understand what we are seeing, there's a real vulnerability in the electorate to the kind of demagoguery and disinformation that unfortunately the other side is really good at exploiting. People understand that for as long as you've probably been alive, if you're listening to this, it's always been the left versus the right, the Democrat versus the Republican, the black versus the white, whatever. The bottom line is always pushing the blame to the other side. It's a matter of shifting the blame so that the people in the middle still become marginalized. But another key element that I want you to understand is she's saying the way that we get our information. So, in other words, if you're getting your information outside of the mainstream sources that are bought and paid for by these talking heads, and if you're listening to alternative news sources, then that is a problem. Basically, she's saying because there's a lack of gatekeepers. Why should there be gatekeepers in a democratic society? You should be able to listen and determine based on what you've heard what you want. You should not have to be regulated to a certain set of people to dictate how information is disseminated. But that's exactly what they want. Who have a historic perspective. History is created by whoever wins the war, right? Whoever wins the war writes history. The loser does not get to tell the story. If they don't get to say how things went down, if you win the war, you get to say, okay, it went like this. Anyway, listen, my 5 minutes is up. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I have so much more content to share with you guys. I'm excited. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. Let's keep doing it. Media mesh to the moon. Let's go.